Good morning, everyone. It's always a pleasure to be able to come up and offer some words of prayer and inspiration. There's always a little bit of a opportunity for me because there are so many different sources of inspiration I touch base with often through my days. But one of the most consistent, if not the most consistent place I go, it's the daily word. I'm a devotee of the daily word. I've been praying and reading it for over 40 years. And as many of you know who read the daily word, it always feels as though it speaks so personally to me through many different opportunities in my life, day by day. So this word actually was from September 3rd, which was a Wednesday this month. And as I looked around for inspiration, I went to a few different sources, and I kept coming back to this because it really embodied some just inspirational thoughts about my spiritual journey and what I believe the spiritual journey to be. So the daily word on September 3rd was eager, which to me also speaks of zeal and just really piggybacks on our introduction this morning from our Reverend Jonathan. Eager. I am eager to deepen my spiritual understanding. My spiritual path has taken me far. Over the years, I have grown through spiritual study, been comforted by prayer, and have felt inspired to discover the depths of my divinity and the potential of my humanity. The more I learn, the more eager I become to discover even more. The mysteries of God are vast and ultimately unknowable. As I expand my awareness of the divine through my spiritual practice, I feel myself changed. My eagerness to know God, to feel God as the light in my life and the love in my heart, fills me with a lasting peace and joy that blesses me at depths.
Free, free, free. Well, one of the thoughts that came to mind as I was considering this song is that, one of the fundamental premises of New Thought is that freedom is the birthright of every living soul. That who we are is infinitely free, and the only thing that ever binds us is our own belief in being bound. I really want you to hear that. The only thing that ever binds us is our belief in being bound. And so I think it's Ernest Holmes who said we are bound because we are first free. It is our belief in the binding that keeps us held back. And so today, part of the call is, what are you willing to let go of that binds you up in order that you may experience more freedom today? Just consider that for a moment. What are you willing to release that is only an option in the mind? The only thing we can ever release are ideas in mind that keep us held back, that keep us bound, that keep us tied down. And how might you step forth into a greater expression of expanded freedom in your life? I like the idea that I am infinitely free, and boy, do I muck it up sometimes by binding myself up in my own mind. I have done that a lot in my life. No more. No more. No more. It is not uncommon that people seek out guidance from me as a spiritual counselor. And the thing that I always hear in the conversation that we have are the ways that we've adopted beliefs and ideas that hold us back. And sometimes just giving the permission to consider something else, a different idea, is enough for something to shift in mind and in heart, for something new to be expressed and born and evolved in our experience. This week, I have been a little under the weather. Oh, gosh. I know, shocking, right? Ministers like to get up and say, well, I have not had an illness in 18 years. You know what? I still occasionally have a little party for microorganisms in my body. That happened this week. And, it was an opportunity for me to step back and say, irrespective of my being on a little holiday last weekend, I went to Central Coast of California to celebrate a significant birthday for my aunt. She's turning 80, and that's why I was away last Sunday. But this week, I came back, and, it's one of those things I thought, something is interesting in the sinus region that is not feeling normal. And I thought to myself, I can either let myself be bound by the idea that this is going to take me down, or I can remind myself that I am free to express the infinite spiritual blueprint that is the core of my beingness, that has not been affected by anything in the world of form, and flow through this experience with grace and with ease. And also take a day off and sleep. Because I am endowed with infinite wisdom to know what is mine to do in relationship to the experience that I'm having. And so I took a day off. I took Thursday off, and I slept all day, and I watched, I think, all of season 6 of Young Sheldon. Part of what this is leading up to for me today is this idea that there is something within each and every one of us that is begging to express with aliveness. And I think that sometimes we withhold ourselves from that aliveness because of the way we perceive the rest of the world to be. How might we be perceived, rather than remembering that the way we are perceived is the way we perceive ourselves? Think about that. So if we are approaching the world from the perception of something within us is to be feared, then what we experience is fear expressed towards us. And so what will we do today to counter that idea? Howard Thurman had this to say once. He said, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it." What are we holding back from because we have a conception of limitation in our minds? Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it, because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Are you alive? And the rest of you? I experienced a little bit of discomfort this week, feeling a little less than. I know that doesn't happen for anybody else. Never, ever. But what if I sought not to eliminate the discomfort? Think about that. What if I sought not to eliminate the discomfort, but remember that I have a relationship to my discomfort, and the only thing that needs to be changed is my relationship to the perception of discomfort. The perception of wholeness is the consciousness of healing, is a quote that's been very prevalent the last several weeks. It came up in the practitioner class. It came up on a rant on a Wednesday morning recently. The perception of wholeness is the consciousness of healing. And so the way to experience infinite healing for myself is to remember that it is my perception of my wholeness that invites a healed state of mind, which leads to a healed state of being. I know that I often refer to this healing candle, this 11th candle that we offer up and say the healing candle represents the revealing of the divinity at the core of all circumstances, of all experiences. When we are reminded that God is at the core of all of it, whether we call it good or we call it bad or we call it discordant or we call it aligned, it's all God. And sometimes people don't want to hear that because they want to put the blame for discordant experiences on something else. To say, well, that can't possibly be God, but what if it is? What if we accepted that discordant experiences are the flow of the divine and that we have the capacity in our own minds to do something about it because we are the ones who are in charge of our expression of infinite freedom? What if we let go of this idea that we have to eliminate discomfort or life's challenges. The way that we can actually address that is by remembering where we place our focus. Are we placing our focus on the circumstances, or are we placing our focus where I think our focus should be rightly placed, which is on the divine essence that is the core of all creation? When I start to feel the experience of discord in my physical beingness, which I did this week, I don't go in there and try to coerce it out. I remind myself of the truth of my being. I allow myself to step back, relax, and say, I am grateful that there is that within me that knows exactly what is required for the infinite healing of the physical presence that is me. That's how I engage in the process of healing. We can collectively create this frame of mind, because one of the things that is very important for me in my expression of ministry is that we are working together to create what I call a subjective consensus. Ooh, gosh, some big words and some jargony type words. A subjective consensus of love. And that becomes the motivating factor for each and every one of us in our lives. So what do I mean by that? I mean that it's very easy to create a subjectivity within these walls and with everyone that we are connected to virtually online. There is a subjectivity, that is a collective subjectivity, where we probably all have similar frames of conscious thinking right now. That's my guess. My guess is that we've all come in here and that there's an aspect within each and every one of us that is saying, yes, I am here to love and be loved. And that collective subjectivity we get to carry with us when we move past these walls, when we go back out into the greater community. And the question is, are we carrying that subject, that collective subjectivity with us to inform energetically those who are around us into that same frame of mind? Now, there's a very jargon-based term that arose in the development of New Thought, and I have my challenges with the particular way it was expressed because people misunderstand it all the time. It's what we would call a race consciousness. So you think race, the first thing many people think of in terms of race is, what race am I? That's not what we're talking about. We're saying that there is a collective race, the human race, and that race consciousness is what is setting the tone for all of our experiences. And we are either agreeing with the collective or we are disagreeing with the collective. And what I would invite us all to do is consider, what do you think the collective race idea is that is prevalent in our community and in our world right now? And do you agree with it? And then remind yourself that you are a contributor to that consciousness, and that there is that within you that says, I can change the world. Do you believe that you can change the world? I'll say it again, and the rest of you? I think we hesitate from thinking that we have that level of power. And I'm not talking about force. I'm not trying to force the world into being something. I am saying that my presence in the world can be a profound expression of love that fundamentally changes the entire experience of the world. That's the power that we all have at the core of our beingness. So what might we create together? What might we choose to create together? One of my friends who has been not a direct mentor for me, but has been a mentor in my ministerial life, is a gentleman by the name of Dr. Jim Lockhart. He's a retired minister now. He writes a blog that is he just has great wisdom to share, and I love reading what he has to offer. He offered this at one point. He said, when spiritual community tries to eliminate discomfort, it becomes a place of refuge from the world rather than a point of entry or perhaps re-entry into the world. I'm going to say that again. Because sometimes we come here seeking to eliminate the discomfort, right? When we come together, we're trying to eliminate the discomfort. And he says this, when spiritual community tries to eliminate discomfort, it becomes a place of refuge from the world rather than a point of entry or perhaps re-entry into the world. And so when we gather within these walls, it is important to assess, why am I coming here? Am I coming here to escape what I perceive to be the challenging world beyond these walls? Or am I here to remind myself of the truth of my being and then carry that forth into the world and become a point of light and to shine my light forth, just as Jesus said? You are a light. You are a light. You are the light of the world. Do not hide it under a bushel. Thank you, Wendy. Wendy said, amen. So it's a call to us to invite this question. What is the heart of community? Why do we gather in spiritual community? Because I think the gathering in spiritual community is an important part of my spiritual path. I relish the opportunity to be able to make connection with you every single, well, not just on Sundays, but throughout the week. There are many of you who come and visit throughout the week, and I relish the opportunity to make those connections with you, because for me, spiritual community is how I am transforming the world one heart at a time. And I know that as I choose to express love only, as I choose to express infinite forgiveness, and as I choose to remember who I am in every single interaction, that there is that within me that is inviting that in others, and then that grows exponentially. So what is the heart of community? For me, the heart of community is really summed up in one word: love. Love. And we can strike a balance of developing love in our lives and enveloping those around us with, in, and as love. Keeping this in mind, we are all at different places on our infinite journey. Every single one of us is in a different place. And so sometimes that might be met with resistance. And if it's met with resistance, allow yourself to give grace to yourself and to the person or people that are resistant. Allow people to be right where they are and be the safe space for them without trying to push them into something that they may not be ready for. Jim Lockhart also offered this. He said, with respect to safe spaces, and I like to think that this is a safe space, in safe spaces, we are not protected from disturbance. Wait, what? How is that possibly a safe space? In a safe space, we are not protected from disturbance. Rather, we are disturbed in a protected space. It is okay to bring your disturbances into a safe space and to know that what you are met with in that safe space is love only. Love only. People seek me out for counseling because they are in a disturbed state of mind. My role, my desire in the experience of that interaction is to allow them the disturbance in a protected, loving, safe space. Because it is through the disturbance that we often find wisdom. Something is illuminated within us through the disturbance. And you know what? I always say awareness is the key to transformation. Because once I become aware of what it is that is disturbing, then I am empowered to address it in mind. And as I address it in mind, something new is expressed in form. That's the fundamental premise of New Thought. What I think, what I believe, what I feel is created in my experience. And so what is my relationship to the circumstances? My relationship to the circumstances is entirely in consciousness. It is entirely in the feeling tone of that relationship. And so how will I choose to be? I have often, personally, sought out safe space. As a teenager, I was struggling. I don't know if any of you struggled as teenagers, but I was struggling with identity. Who am I in this world? And I'm talking about all aspects of identity. Who am I in this world? What is mine to do? What is mine to be? I don't know that I could articulate those questions in that way as a teenager, but I was struggling with those questions as a teenager. And I sought out safe space. One of my safest spaces for me was theater, was engaging in theater and having a collective family. Whenever I would engage in being in a performance, actors become really close with one another, really close with one another. And it's almost like we go through a grieving process when a show closes, because it's like, oh, well, that connection is now feeling in some ways arbitrarily ripped apart, and what do I do now? I'm lost in the wilderness. So I seek out another safe space and another safe space. And what I started to realize as I was going through this process of continued seeking is that the safe space was whatever I chose to create in my own mind and in my own heart. And so it made the sting of the separation a little bit less challenging. That's one way I sought out safe space. And there are many other examples I could give about different aspects of my life that were all contributors to the seeking out of safe spaces. But what I know, what I choose to know, is that wherever I am home. I am home. That's why, singing that song today, the centering song, I feel the music down in my soul, and the whole wide world is my home. That is and can be the truth for each and every one of us. We could expand that idea to the whole universe is our home. And in the exploration of our life, there are feeders to our soul. I think that what many of us, and I think that this is what I sought after in seeking safe space, I think what many of us are seeking is meaning, fulfillment, and connection. Meaning, fulfillment, and connection. Perhaps consider that is why you are here on a Sunday morning gathering in spiritual community, because there's some aspect of you that is seeking one, if not all three of those things, meaning, fulfillment, or connection. And that separates us from the arbitrary and artificial idea that it is things and status or celebrity that we seek out to make ourselves feel better. What if we got rid of those things and really allowed ourselves to enjoy these feeders of the soul? Meaning, fulfillment, and connection. Meaning, which simply defined is the manner of conception. It's what I've been talking about. The meaning of our lives is rooted in the manner in which we conceive of our lives. Our lives are what we determine them to be. That's fundamentally what that means. If I'm seeking meaning, the meaning is whatever I put into it. Fulfillment. Oh, fulfillment. Do you not seek to be fulfilled, to be content, to be happy? I do. But what I realized is that it is not about trying to attain fulfillment from outside. It is about being the fulfillment first and foremost from within. I always say, people are always surprised when I say this. I often say, we do not seek to be happy. Do not seek to be happy. Remember that happiness is your natural state of being. You don't need to seek it out. It's who you are. Anything that seems unlike it is something that we've layered upon our own sense of happiness. And so, do not seek happiness. Seek to eliminate the conscious ideas in mind that keep your happiness from being fully embodied by means of you. To fulfill the law of being, our role is to proclaim unity with and of God. For me, that is allowing my own inner happiness to shine through. And connection, our relationship. I am really, really interested more and more as I have developed in the outflow of my own ministry and my own life to release the idea that I am in this alone. Because sometimes I can feel like I'm in this alone. You know, there's that quote, I do use this quote quite frequently from Ernest Holmes, one alone in consciousness constitutes a complete majority, right? And I do hold that that is true because I have the capacity within my own individualization of the divine that is me to change the world. But boy, what if we worked on that together? How might we more profoundly transform this world? And so connection, relationship is deeply important to me. Seeking a link beyond the self. That, for me, is what this is all about, the heart of community. That was the message this week, the title of the message this week, the heart of community. And the heart of community is this idea for me, that we will always be greater than me. We will always be greater than me. And so how are we choosing to collectively move forth into this world, allowing meaning, fulfillment, and connection to inform every aspect of our being from the point of view of love only, infinite forgiveness, remembering in every moment who we are. Peace and blessings. You are magnificent. And so the home practice this week, as a reminder, the home practice is an opportunity to put today's message into practice in our lives. I offer this. In every interaction with others this week, consider how you are contributing to that experience. It seems simple. In every interaction with others this week, consider how you are contributing to the experience. In Raymond Charles Barker's book, The Power of Decision, one of the things that he offers is this idea, and I hold to this: to experience joy, be the cause for joy in others. How are you contributing to the experience? If you want to experience joy in your life, be the cause for joy in others. And really do an assessment. Do you need to make any adjustments in those interactions? Awareness is the key to transformation. And so that is the work this week, the practice this week, and I'm deeply grateful for your willingness to participate in that.